Introducing Meta Ray-Ban Display, the world's most advanced AI glasses. With a full color display built into the lens of the glasses, it's there when you need it and gone when you don't. Send and receive messages, translate or caption live conversations, collaborate with Meta AI, and more. Be one of the first to try Meta Ray-Ban Display. Visit meta.com/Meta Ray-Ban Display to book a demo and find your pair.
Hey friends, this is Audie Cornish, host of CNN This Morning and The Assignment, and guess what? Every story you care about, every angle you want unpacked is now streaming on CNN. That means you can catch my show or other CNN programming whenever you want on your favorite device. And a subscription also gets you access to exclusive video series and unlimited articles. So subscribe to CNN at cnn.com/subscription.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Wrestling Draft.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Wrestling Draft. I am your host today, Scott McLeod, and once again, while Dave is off doing his Eat, Pray, Love, or whatever the hell he does over in India, pretending he's Jinder Mahal, making peace with that old grudge that he used to have, I am here keeping the show afloat. And, in a year where you've got all the franchises, you've got Scream, you've got all these places from back in the day coming back to, we think there's a sequel. We've got our own sequel right here, as it's an SDL reunion, someone I can always rely on. He's top of the table now. I don't think that's the coincidence that where he is in the table is why he's decided to come back, but I won't be skeptical. David Campbell, welcome back, son.
I love what you've done with the place. This is my first time on the Wrestling Draft, and it feels good to be here. And listen, it's sad that Captain Beckett of the West End Country Club Trading Company couldn't be here today. But just as he does every season, he is going down with his ship. But we're not here to talk about that. We're here to talk about good things, like me being at the top of the table and Stephen Wilson not being at the top of the table. So let's get into it.
Yeah, last time David was here, he was calling me homeless because of my beer. But I make an effort when David Campbell shows up. I've had a shave, a haircut, a better camera angle where you can see in the background my signed autographs from legends such as Ted DiBiase and Eugene. All the legends are on my wall.
All the legends, they're heroes of mine and I'm heroes of theirs. But you look distinguished however you have your facial hair, Scott. Don't let David Hockney tell you any different.
No, especially not with the photos he's been posting. But yeah, over the top three of the week, and it's an NXT flavoured top three this week in the week that we had Halloween Havoc. And even though she had to give up one championship, and her friend lost the other one for her, 8 points is still Sol Ruka's overall number this week, just by appearances both Halloween Havoc and on NXT this past week. So that's good for Alan Lucas. But then we have Blake Monroe, the one who took the North American title, on 12 points. And tied with her for 12 points is the men's North American champion. That is Ethan Page, who's on David Hockney, the aforementioned David Hockney's team, as our Charlotte Flair and Alexa Bliss, who are tied with 8 points with Sol Ruka after successful defenses on Raw and I believe on SmackDown as well. They wrestled.
Yeah, you wouldn't have saw that coming, that they were tied on points with Sol Ruka when all was said and done this season. But look, Alan McLucas had a lot of heat going into this season for the team that he selected. But Sol Ruka, when you look at what she has done, a third-round pick on 54 points. She's the best pick that he could have got in that round. She has been absolutely amazing for him. The problem he has with such a tight season is that she has been silent. That is the only problem with the Sol Ruka pick at this point from Alan McLucas. And the other two picks, they're smart. You'd expect them to be doing well. I had Blake Monroe in my team last season after the transfer window. She's a player they're going to invest in. And Ethan Page has become one of these reliable figures. I think that Ethan Page, when picking him for future seasons, is going to have a bit of a Hank and Tank effect about him, Scott, because you want to keep picking them. It's like Fraxium as well. You want to keep picking them. They've got a championship.
Don't talk to me about Fraxium.
But how long will he keep it? That's the question that's going to be playing on everyone's mind now with Ethan Page. How long we keep it? Out of the two North American champions, Blake Monroe's the one that you're kind of betting on a bit of longevity there, I reckon.
Oh yeah, I think now that she's got this title run, she's already scheduled her first title defense for one of the two nights in Madison Square Garden that NXT's got coming up. So that's Dan Axel Jameson's team. She's on 37 points overall for him.
Yeah.
She's behind the two Adams, so Pierce and Page, respectively, for top scoring in his team. But David Totney was all smug with himself with Charlotte Flair and Alexa Bliss, and it's only now that they've finally started appearing across the brands and racking up title wins. So that's working out for everything. Yeah, Ethan Page has been on quite the dominant run with it. And yeah, like I mentioned about Alan Lucas with Silver, and like I was saying multiple times on the show that a couple of things for Alan Lucas came up that we wouldn't have foreseen, like Brodido winning the tag team titles when he picked Brody King, and the speed title now being recognised, and she managed a single one defence before she got launched. Dan Axel Jameson, like I said, with Blake Monroe, it's not helping him in the table though. But if you want to believe Dan Axel Jameson, it's all Gunther's fault. The fact that Gunther's not showing up, who's on 0 points.
Yeah, the thing is, with Blake Monroe, he's taken a punt with Blake because he took her in the second round. She was the 19th overall pick of the draft. And when you look at the comparison between the two, Blake Monroe has only managed 37 points for the season. But then you look at Ethan Page, picked 5 places later in the draft, 57 points. So that's the sort of thing. Dan Axel Jameson was talking in the chat today, and you're alluding to it there, how Gunther is the thing that's maybe fucked his season. But it's those slight things that have messed it up. In such a tight season, it's those slight things that will mess up you getting a victory in this draft.
It's tight, as Goldmember would say, this season in terms of the length and also where the table has been, especially near the top. It's tighter at the top, like someone who squeezed the toothpaste from the top. Right at the bottom of the table, I'm sorry to bring this up, David, as your best friend, your big Gary Kernahan. Again, what a fall. I mean, I swear he was in the top 3 at one point, and then within weeks, like Mufasa, he tumbled down.
It's the nature. It's been a funny old season, this one.
Mm-hmm. That's with Becky Lynch, I believe, on his team as well, a team versus it's a bad juju of Mo passing away. That's really what's affected him. Then he's on 164.5 points. Then we have 165 for the Man Without Beer with Andy Mitchell, my co-host from last week. Then El Grande Ecoze, 174 points with JP. Myself not far ahead of him with Yeet Dreams Are Made of These, 181 points. And then up to the Draft Bastards with Robert Shaw, 199 points. He's this close to cracking the 200, and then 200.5 points is Iguana Dance with somebody with Matt Smith. At least he got something out of Mr. Iguana, who actually showed up, even though in a loss at Halloween Havoc. Then we got Grant McRobbie. I still can't believe he's so high up in the table. AI no better than you, 201 points. This is the future, I'm telling you. There'll be AI hosting this podcast in a few years. This is what you have brought Grant McRobbie to this draft is what he.
Listen, the fact that Seth got injured is a big middle finger to AI, in my opinion. That's
it's a dick kick, like the dick kick that Dominic Mysterio gave to his other pick, Rusev, during the Intercontinental title match. Speaking of, the man out gallivanting to Tory, West End Country Club, David Hockney, are on 203 points, and then ahead of him on 213 points, Essex Elite with Dan Axel Jameson, and then that's where we get to our top 5 on 233 points. That's a jump. I swear I don't like that other Brock here, Tom Brock, who was in contention in the top 2, top 3, has slipped down to 5th place. I'm Lucas, even with Saul Ruka's injury, is limping along much like she is in 4th position, keeping his spot in the top 5 on 135.5 points, then up to 139 points with It's Tsunami Time with Gary Morris. And then we have the two men who have been battling out for much of the last few weeks, particularly, and Dave Wilson, who's had a stranglehold in the top 3 recently, 245 points he slipped down. But ahead of him, 21 points ahead of him exactly, is yourself, with Team Goat, 266 points.
Yes, indeed. There's still time. And that's the problem. This is such a long season that gap doesn't please me enough, and we'll get into it. But I think Stephen had some players that I'm afraid of. Gary Morris has a bit of power there that I'm afraid of, and I just hope that my team can fire on all cylinders at the right time to just bring this title home, Scott.
Oh, yeah, I mean, I did mention the stat that you so willingly provided to me. The fact that if you do win this season, you will have won 25% of all drafts.
Yeah.
It's astonishing. But also, it would be interesting for you to win this first season under the wrestling draft banner, as you won the first initial season before there ever was an SDL of our draft back in the USSR.
Indeed. Like, listen, the thing is, this isn't just a battle because I love doing things first. I love setting records, breaking new ground. I haven't won 6 of these plus a listeners league for no reason. But also, Scott, my personal battle is to stop Stephen Wilson being the second person to win back-to-back titles. I've only done it very recently. I think it's a thing that's very hard to do. I wouldn't like it if Stephen Wilson was to repeat that feat so quickly after I managed to do it. I put my blood, sweat, and tears into that, doing it the first time, you know? And then Stephen thinks they can come along and just like, oh, I see the pathway and I'll get that done. Nah, not for me. But I worry about the Punk effect in all of this. I worry about that World Heavyweight Championship at Saturday night's main event.
Well, I worry about it as well for other reasons, but we'll get into it's interesting because you've got Gary Morris and Tom Brock in there, fresh talent. You know, Tom has won in a tie team, but, you know, never got that singles run player. Alan McLucas did win, but he probably won in the worst way because he had to rely on Baron Corbin in the worst Royal Rumble in recent memory. So I think he's like a proper win for him.
It was an exciting way to win. And Gary Morris is the same. Don't forget, Gary Morris has also won as part of a team with Ross. I think when Gary...
I don't know who that is.
Yeah, the problem with Gary is Tiffany looks like she's about to get salad, and Tiffany's his biggest scorer. So I'm hoping and praying, not for Tiffany's injury, but just for, you know, an unfortunate circumstance to befall Gary Morris when it comes to Tiffany in the Women's Championship.
Well, the point I was getting at, I was trying to look at, we need some fresh blood at the top of the main event team. We can't have but Stephen Hogan at the top, and who can be the young underdog to finally topple him? The guy who's won more times than anybody. I mean, it's like whenever they try and position John Cena as an underdog when he was 10-time champion.
No, but like I have fun doing it. You know, that's the difference. I do this with a smile on my face and a tear in my eye. You know, I love playing this game. I love playing this draft. And to get the 7th title, that would be like Trish Stratus, you know, and then the Listeners League is my hardcore title. You know, so I'm replicating. If I get this 7th title, I'm calling myself the Diva of the Decade. All right, that's what I'm doing.
Well, we've already called you the Diva, but never to your face. But we go to the Listeners League. We'll look at the top 5 there. We have Paddy McBride with the Devil's Kiss on 260 points. 271.5 points. We have I'm Not Too Fussed. We have Gordon. Will Gordon get fuss and get a bloody second name in your there as well? My boy Anthony Fitzpatrick with include impact points 2.0, 284.5 points. A lot of half points here. 295.5 points is the big Ross man with Ross Brady. But Ross is still trailing behind over 25 points ahead of him with 320.5 points. Draft balls, so you search for draft balls 2. Alan Laurie, the first person to crack 300 in the Listeners League, the man dominating the league. He and his team, we should remind people, does have Seth Rollins, John Moxley, Braun Squared, Sol Rica, Nick Aldis, and Chelsea Green.
Yeah.
So we did mention the loss of Seth Rollins. You know, John Moxley is still clinging on, refusing to take a holiday after his feuds with Hangman and Darby Allin have wrapped up, and the Browns are all over the place. But two of the people who we mentioned getting injured who have been selling, both Sol Rica and Seth Rollins on Allen's team, will that slow down even though he's got such a big lead?
I think that Alan Laurie might be the most unlucky man in draft history. What looked like a romping victory, I am going to predict it on this show, and it's a bold prediction. I think Alan Laurie does not win this season. Despite this looking for everything like it would be Alan's season to win, I think that Anthony Fitzpatrick is going to win the Listeners League this season. Anthony Fitzpatrick, maybe it's selfish, he basically has my team with your main man. He has Jey Uso, and then he has team go all the way down. And I think that when Alan Laurie has Seth Rollins and Sol Ruka, two big hitters for him to this point, sure, they're both out. But when Anthony Fitzpatrick has Stephanie in there, the Eva Rain points, he has Cash and Dax, FTR, who have been all over Dynamite. Jey Uso, maybe, just maybe, wins a world title on Saturday. All of a sudden, that gap between Alan and Anthony ain't looking so big. And it's a tortoise in the hare situation here, Scott. Alan ran this race so quickly, but the legs have came out from underneath him, I think. He might have enough to just get him over the line, but I'm predicting it's going to be Anthony Fitzpatrick.
See, I would love more than anything for Anthony Fitzpatrick to win. I've known that man a long time.
Yeah.
He does have 36.5 points to make up, and
Yeah.
Jey Uso and Stephanie Vaquer. I'm looking also at Ross Brady, who is the closer one. He's the man in the middle between them, but he also has Seth Rollins, but he also has JCJ and Braun Squared, and he also has Dax Harwood as well.
Yeah.
So
It's just not as good a team, I don't think. You know?
the steal of the century, ironically, Seth Rollins heisted the century. It would be Anthony Fitzpatrick heisting it from the men who have Seth Rollins if he was to get that win. And without hyperbole, probably the most exciting thing to ever happen in Listeners League history by a country mile.
It would be unbelievable. But yeah, Hockney's said it a couple of weeks that, Alan Laurie, it's over, it's done. It's not done. Not by a long shot.
It's looked for a long time that a man who spent years in I'm not exaggerating, literal years in the Listeners League for the SSR, but never got in there, was going to win this. But it might not be Alan Laurie who does it, because Anthony Fitzpatrick is a main staple of the Listeners League as well. But talking of teams, we've talked about Anthony Fitzpatrick having your team. Let's go to your team now, and the thing that is keeping you number one on the table. Obviously, Stephanie Vaquer, let's call her Stephen, Ava Ray, Villa, that were picked separately. Raquel and Roxanne picked together, and Solo Sikoa as well down the bottom here, bringing up the rear. Careful. Talk to me about your thought process with some of these picks as the leader right now.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't draft high. I drafted pretty far down the table. So I was just like, basically, I just need to get the best pick that I can in every round, and we'll play it from here. So Stephanie was a no-brainer. I thought that she was going to go before me. So I was very, very pleased to get Stephanie in round one. I thought that's a pick that I need to get. That's a pick that I need to secure. And then we'll go from there. With Solo, I expected him, and this will be a theme for my team, I expected him to feature on TV quicker than he actually ended up, doing. It took a while, but then we got the MFT vignettes, and it looks like heading into Survivor Series that Solo is going to be a major part of that show. So again, it's a long season. The strategy has to be pick the guys and girls that are going to be around there for the big dance. If they start slow, it's not a disaster. But as long as they have a really good chance of getting a feature program in there for the majority of it, that's fine. And that's what happened with Solo. You get into round 3, and this is where the wheels start turning, right? Because I knew that I wanted. So here's a bit of history that I don't think has been brought up, right? You remember the rule that tag teams had to be drafted first?
Yeah, that was way, way back in the day.
That was because of me. Because in season 2, I asked Stephen if I could draft Eric and Ivar as singles picks right at the start of the draft to take them away from anyone. And Stephen was like, oh, no, that's no good. And then that's why he implemented the tags first rule. So this strategy of Cash and Dax, I've had it in my head for literal years, and I've wanted to try it. And I thought, well, where I was in the table, such a long season, I was going to do that. I knew I needed a good tag team, a really sort of dependable tag team if I was going to pull that off. So that's why I was like, I have 2 strong women in the board there. I have Raquel and I have Roxanne. They're going to be in Raw every week. I don't really care if they compete. I actually care if they didn't compete as a tag team points-wise, to be brutally honest.
Considering they just lost their last tag match to Lyra and Bailey.
Yeah, compete slow, come out with each other. hang out in the Judgment Day clubhouse. Brilliant. Don't step foot in a tag team scenario. That is what I've hoped for Raquel and Roxanne, and it's worked out all right. And then I managed to pull it off. A lot of people, some people were confused. Won't name names. Some people saw the vision and saw it for what it was. It was a big risk. Now, the program with Edge and Christian, it looked like the risk hadn't quite paid off.
Well, yeah, we should mention they lost. Very first thing they did. Well, the reason they got half points, they did a 30-minute draw, which I was there to see. It was still of a thing, but not great for their draw. They lost the tag match, Forbidden Door tag match. Then they lost again to Edge and Christian.
Yeah.
And I think it was weird. I think a lot of people didn't know what to do. They didn't know what to make. They were worried about falling into something. So you'd pick Dax, or Dax for then it was coming around to another round, and people were like, did one of us go with Cash? And like we thought, like, do we fall in for it if we don't pick Cash? Do we fall in if you do pick Cash? Like, people didn't know what to think. I think that's why Cash went. But I think then people felt good about that, given that they lost, instead of one tag team losing, you got two singles people losing.
Yeah, and that is why it's the risk, right? You're going all in. You're basically putting another captaincy on FTR and forsaking a pick somewhere down there. You're going all in FTR. And you're right, it was a very slow start, and I was concerned that I'd wasted this strategy in the wrong season. But when you look at it, round 4, Dax Harwood, the third best round 4 pick in that round. Cash not doing as well in round 5. He is the 5th best round 5 pick currently, but he's picking up steam where others are arguably losing a bit of steam in that round. So the FTR gamble was a gamble. I think it's a gamble that's paying off for me. And then round 6 was just one of those no-brainers. It was Ava, I needed a woman. Rarely do I find myself backed into that gender corner when it comes to women. I traditionally pick them quite high up. But Ava is a very reliable point scorer. And I'm pretty sure Stephen had already picked Marina, who he had his eyes on. But again, Ava performing very well. She's the 3rd best pick in that 6th round. She has 8 more points than SmackDown GM Nick Aldis. So in the battle of the GM, she's doing all right. And she's only been beaten by 2 of the Ops in Marina Shafir, which I think is pretty good going.
Mm-hmm. Pretty sure Adam Pearce is in, like, she's on 36 points overall as Ava Rain. Adam Pearce is in, like, the low 40s. But it was interesting in terms of how good a run Stephanie's been on. Because, again, I'm still like, if Naomi hadn't went away, I don't think they were going to pull the trigger so early. I think they thought she's over enough. We're in a position we put the belt on her. So she had that. And then also the run at Crown Jewel. So Ava Rain, 2nd best pick overall for your team, 36 points. Stephanie Vaquer way ahead, 118 points.
Yeah.
Stephanie Vaquer. And, she's top 3 overall. She's only been, beaten by, I think, Bronson Reed and Kyle Fletcher here.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
So, and again, I'm going to put that as she's beaten by 1. Because Bronson Reed is in a tag team, so it doesn't count for this season. So fuck him.
The interest is unfortunate. Again, like, she's in a position, and then getting to that point. I mean, I can see why you picked her round 1. She's done well for me. She's done well for other people in the past. I don't know why I didn't think to pick her in the first round. I think it was foolish. I thought, is she in a position? Right? Because really, if we think about it, in those couple of months between, in like the summer, when the midsummer, where she lost the NXT title and came up, wasn't really doing anything before that Battle Royal win in those first 3 months on the main roster, other than getting over that bloody Devil's Kiss finisher.
Yeah.
So I think that's why I didn't think she'd go round 1. Solo, I think, started off bad as well, because he entered the season as US champion, then Andy Mitchell, your friend and mine, everyone's friend, one of the most talked about picks of the season is pick of Sami Zayn early on. What is Sami Zayn doing? Come and takes the belt.
Stand by it. Excellent round 1 pick for where Andy drafted.
And he got a good 6-7 weeks run out of that, and unfortunately a Russian had to come in and ruin it for him.
Yeah.
But it's amazing how much Ava Rain is like all over the place on NXT, that she's managed to rack up these points for you. But looking at how you can get forward here, also, there's no immediate plan, I think, for Stephanie. She might face either Raquel or Roxanne. There's rumours of Nikki Bella turning heel to have a feud with Stephanie. Where that works out in this season, we don't know. But looking ahead in the next couple of weekends, it's both about who you have in Cash and Dax, who are now number one contenders and will face Brodito at Full Gear on the second last weekend of the season.
That could pay off big time.
Also, it's about who Stephen Wilson, more importantly, doesn't have, because Rhea Ripley is off TV right now, having busted up her nose in Japan. And then we have, CM Punk on 71 points for Stephen. We had LA Knight on his team as well, who lost recently on Raw to Braun Breaker. But Obafemi has not been seen since No Mercy. And then CM Punk...
Yeah. DIY might as well have not been seen since any time as well.
And we have CM Punk, who's going up against my guy Jey Uso, so it's mutually beneficial for both of us if Jey Uso wins, because it won't do me any favours in terms of my odds, but it will do you the world of good.
100%. Punk is the only castle left to fall, I think, when it comes to Wilson. He had a good season, and I don't want to take anything away from Stephen Wilson. Stephen Wilson drafted last out of 14 competitors. The fact that Stephen Wilson taught this league for so long is one of the most impressive feats I've seen in draft memory, because you shouldn't be able to do it. The snake draft sure has made it a bit easier, but the fact is the 13 other of the top choices were taken from you. You do not get the cream of the crop. You need to draft so much smarter. And he has drafted smarter. And if I win this, it is due to a bit of unluck because of Oba, because of Rhea. You need luck to win every draft, though.
Yeah.
And I don't say that as a put down on myself. But what I do want to get over is the fact that Stephen Wilson has drafted a hell of a game this season from the position that he had to draft from.
Indeed. So, again, it's interesting. It comes back doing the same thing that Stephanie Ricker came down to in terms of what was the plan and how did they change the plan, because obviously Punk versus Seth was the plan. I think it was meant to lead on to some sort of War Games plan, as was the rumour. So in terms of you need someone to hold on to the belt for a while, do you go to the guy who's going to fight him anyway, who has a story about being screwed? Or do you go with the guy, again, one of the most over guys, no matter what people online say, the most over guy on TV right now? It depends. They're both safe picks in terms of WWE booking. You just put it on for a couple of months. But it's how safe do they want to go is what's going to swing this. And I generally can't tell who's going to win this one.
I can't tell who's going to win it. I can't tell if someone's going to win it. A no contest finish has been theorised online as well. With the Bronze getting involved, so that helps nobody. There's the Gunter in all of this. Does Gunter come back to get revenge on Punk for taking the title from him? Does that happen after Punk's won, before Punk's won? There's the bloodline in all of this. Where does Jimmy, Roman, anyone stand? I think that's what I don't like sometimes in a draft season, is that complete lack of control and knowledge and ability to plan what's going to happen. Because who could have foreseen these circumstances where basically whether I have very calm, sleep-filled nights for the rest of this season after Saturday is down to the flip of a coin. I don't like it.
It's amazing how much this has at stake for you, this match, when you have no one in it.
Yeah.
But we've also got some major matches, again, mentioned Guy Morris with Tiffany Stratton, once again fighting Jade Cargill, and maybe they put the belt on Jade, and I think it's a case of, can you just do it already? Because A, you've given her several shots already in the last couple of months, and B, Tiffany's title reign has been a bit of a wet fart for the most part, since WrestleMania particularly.
Yeah, Tiffany gets cellared this week. Tiffany is done. Tiffany is injured. That title is going on Jade. And I know I said that there was elements of Gary's team that worried me. After having a closer look at it tonight, I think Gary Morris is out the race. That's what I'm going to say. If what I say comes to pass and Tiffany's injured and Jade takes that title, Gary Morris is done.
You say that, he also does have Drew, and the odds of him taking the WWE Championship from Cody, low, not impossible.
It's not impossible.
No.
I don't think it will happen.
What is like what comeback that would be if it did win? But one last thing we should talk about before we go is something we've joked about, and we should have started this. Cilla Black as the arbinger of when someone is ruled out draft wise and when someone's team's kind of screwed because of injury or something. And for a brief time in the pandemic, it was because of release because people are looking at let go, left, right, and center. And I've talked to you. I think this, for as short as the season has been, it's one of the busiest Cilla seasons we've ever had.
Yeah, this season, I think it's been the latter half of this season's really been knocked by Cillas as well. Like, we had Naomi and stuff like that, but the last couple of weeks, it just seems like Cillas all over the place. And I've been lucky that, it's affected Alan McLucas. It's affected Stephen Wilson. It's affecting Gary Morris, Yeah, it's not bad. I'm not in a bad position when it comes to my relationship with Cilla. I have come on this show tonight and I said that go on, David. It's a long season still to go. It's still quite tight. But after looking at the table and after talking to you, I think I'm going to be Diva of the Decade. That's it.
Maybe time to rock and roll after all. But we'll be back after Saturday's main event. David Hockney will be here to talk about the fallout from that, and then we prepare to head into the last two big shows of the season, which will be also Full Gear and Survivor Series itself. So,
what do you think is going to happen? Who do you think wins the season?
Well, I thought you were going to talk about Saturday's main event. Well, selfishly, the guy who's on that team, I was going to say, but I don't know. I think again, it still depends on that match. I'm not saying because you're here. I'm just going to say you both out of again what we talked about and slight preference here. But I try to be the analytical. Dave Hockney's the one with all the opinions,
I know, but that's why I'm asking.
I mean, Stephen are the ones getting everybody wound up, but then they come at the show and I get caught up in all the middle of the heat. So I'm just trying to do my job here. No. I'm JR, sat between Jerry Lawler and Vince McMahon here. I'm just trying to do my job.
Listen, you're great at this job. You're fantastic at this job. And look, I will say everyone's been fantastic at the drafting this season. I think there was a question a few weeks ago when I listened in, has everyone drafted poorly this season just because it's been too tight and no one's really had that push? But I think that comes down to a couple of things. I think it comes down to the amount of people that were in this season. So it does naturally balance the teams out a wee bit. And also it comes to time of year because it's really hard to tell in that SummerSlam to Survivor Series period what the stories are going to be, who's going to get the push, who's going to come out on top. So I think that's why it's been so tight this season, is because of that.
It's going to even take our next season because it's right the 29th of November is the Survivor Series. So then you do the next week where you have the draft. So that's the following Monday on Raw. So we're already in December by the time this goes around. And then Rumble at the end of February, at the end of January, and for buddy Saudi. That's tight. So the last two seasons have been long. This one's long. SummerSlam's long. That season is so difficult because of how quick it is. Basically, you have to hope you've called the Rumble winner or at least an Iron Man or woman or something, because the Rumble is so OP in a good way. I love that about that season. But your entire focus draft-wise has to be in the Rumble. I've won that season twice. Only one of them did I actually have the Rumble winner in my team. I'm hoping for the hat trick there. I think I have an idea of who's one of the Rumble winners. I just need to make sure that person doesn't get picked before me.
Do you think it's Sami Zayn?
I don't know what you're talking about. about the women's.
We're going to be racing first.
Well,
see what that wheel does, buddy.
It'll be the 10th day when that draft order is released in the chat.
Everyone's wanting to watch that one live. No, I want to make sure.
It's also going to be tighter this period from SummerSlam to Saturday next season because the big announcement was that Money in the Bank is in September next year. So also how that affects the bloody between SummerSlam, because Money in the Bank was a big points getter and potential of a cash in, but now you need to move all those thoughts for Money in the Bank and move them a season.
I've started to call that the AEW season.
Yeah.
That in my head, I'm like, if there's ever a season to focus on AEW, it's that
Yeah,
one.
I definitely got been saying that for ages. But yeah,
Yeah.
David, thank you. You know, it's been a whirlwind week for you. Top of the table here. You got referenced on Cultaholic because of Dragon's Den. You're all over the place, son. We don't usually do this, but you know, Andy didn't have much going on. But please tell us anything else you'd like to plug, or tell us what you've got going on.
Oh, go and check out Pictures and Patter. I'm reviewing movies. Like, listen, I'm not going to lie, tired this winter, but I will pick it back up again. We've got some interviews. I had Leon Slater on, the X-Division champion, was chatting to him. That was a good time for the Halloween. He was telling me about his love for horror movies. So, you know, if you need any recommendations, go check that one out. But yeah, that's mainly it. But thank you again for having me on. First time in the wrestling draft. Felt good to talk about the draft.
So good to have a David on who knew what he was talking about. And you make sure to subscribe to the Wrestling Draft YouTube channel if you want to watch the show and also gaze upon our glorious visages. Also, make sure to give us a like, rating, review on your chosen audio platform where you get your podcast if you just want to listen to us while you're out and about doing whatever it is you do. I don't want to know what you do. Spotify, iTunes, Google Podcasts, Podbean, wherever you get your podcast, on Twitter at wrestling_draft, I believe is where you can find us and get in touch with us about joining the Listeners League. And hopefully it won't take you as long as it took Alan Lloyd and or Anthony Fitzpatrick to join us here. But until next time, when David Hockney is back from his travels, I'll be back here once again, same draft time, same draft channel.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.
This is Hannah Berner from Giggly Squad. O-Pill is the first over-the-counter daily birth control pill available in the U.S. Let's be real, getting a birth control prescription is not always easy, and it's so much admin. In fact, about a third of women face barriers to access prescription birth control. Between scheduling appointments, missing work, class, or just trying to exist, it's a lot. But now O-Pill is putting birth control in our control. O-Pill is a daily birth control that's FDA approved, full prescription strength, and estrogen free, and 98% effective when used as directed. Grab it online or at most major retailers, no prescription or doctor's appointment needed. So if you're thinking about birth control, check out O-Pill to see if it's right for you. Use code GIGGLY for 25% off your first month of O-Pill at OPILL.com. That's code GIGGLY at OPILL.com. Birth control in your control. We love to see it.